by describing how she made Zac Efron do 40 takes of putting on a hat. I thought that was actually kind of inside jarring and kind of fun, but I thought it was also interesting that they're calling that a Fincher because, before Fincher, I'm pretty sure they would have called that a full Kubrick. Welcome back to another episode of The Rank. I'm John, and today we're going to be doing another episode of The Studio. Now, if you're enjoying these episodes, or if you're just a fan of The Studio and enjoy consuming content about it, please consider subscribing and or following, like the episodes, and comment or email your questions and all that jazz. Please also consider becoming a patron on our Patreon page at patreon.com/TheRankPodcast. Now, today, we're ranking the 4th episode of the first season of The Studio titled The Missing Reel, which was written by Peter Hike and directed by Seth Rogen and Evan Goldberg. And now I've said this a few times now, but just bears repeating since this is a new series, I am going to try to avoid spoilers. I think I've done a pretty good job so far, so should be okay. Now, before we start, I wanted to mention that I tweaked the tiers a little bit for comedy movies and sitcoms to better reflect what I actually felt about the movie or the episode. So at the end, I'll give a correction of where the previous episodes ranked, in what tier they ranked. And obviously, I'll give you what tier this episode's in. So let's get into it, starting with the potent notables. Okay, so this first one is definitely not one that I would have ever thought to look into, but someone found it, and I think it's worth mentioning. Matt Remick, played by Seth Rogen, is often seen driving around in his old convertible Corvette. And in this episode, he's asked, "Is that your 53 Corvette on the lot?" by Zac Efron, actually. And Sal says, "It's actually the 3rd one ever made." But later shots show Matt and Sal driving the car painted in pennant blue with a beige interior. So 300 Corvettes were built in 1953, all painted polo white with red interiors, black convertible tops, and inline 6-cylinder engines. Pennant blue was introduced as an exterior paint option for 1954 and was also available for 1955. Seth's car is a 1955. The presence of a gold V on its front fender further distinguishes the car as one equipped with a V8 engine, introduced for 1955. I don't know who caught this, but I thought it was pretty impressive. So there you go. That's the first potent notable. Now, we get a lot of odes to classic movies and well-known auteurs, and this episode's no different. This episode is shot similar to noir films, specifically Chinatown from 1974, even ending the episode with the famous line, "Forget it, Olivia, it's Chinatown." That's not a spoiler, by the way.
Okay, well, it kind of is.
In addition, there are some musical references in the soundtrack, like John Williams' The Long Goodbye and Jerry Goldsmith's Chinatown main themes. And finally, last potent notable, the older man in the beginning of the episode screening the movie with Matt Remick is Ike Barinholtz's dad. I just thought that was kind of fun for that. So those are the potent notables. Let's go to the episode overview. So the first season officially ended last week for me, 2 weeks for you when you listen to this, and it's been fun doing the rankings for it. It's been a fun show. This episode follows in the same vein as the previous ones, where we get an homage to great cinema. In this case, it's Chinatown, as mentioned before, but it's also mentioned throughout the episodes. It's not like just an homage; they're actually talking about it throughout the episode too. It's like they're in on the joke, right? So we start the episode watching a movie within the show again, but this time it's dailies for the movie, which is daily prints that get sent to the studio producers and stuff like that. And this movie's titled Rolling Blackout, which the projectionist points out is just a ripoff of Chinatown. Again, another reference to Chinatown, right? It's noir. They describe it as neo-noir, but noir. And we get another couple of cameos as the movie is starring Zac Efron and Olivia Wilde. So Zac portrays his Zac Efron character as being kind of laid back, but also not afraid to talk back to a studio head, which was kind of fun. And then Matt seems to have gotten a reputation for being cheap during the filming of this one. Now, Olivia, she portrays her Olivia Wilde character as being kind of an exacting and tough director. So they actually say in this episode that she went full Fincher by describing how she made Zac Efron do 40 takes of putting on a hat. I thought that was actually kind of inside jarring and kind of fun, but I thought it was also interesting that they're calling that a Fincher because, before Fincher, I'm pretty sure they would have called that a full Kubrick. But anyway, the thing that interests me about her doing this type of role is all the brouhaha about "Don't worry, darling." I feel like she's been put in director jail because of that movie, and I'm surprised she'd be willing to make herself look like a hard director to work with. So I guess kudos for leaning into it. Now, basically, as the title suggests, the crux of this episode is that there's a missing reel, and Matt and Sal go looking for it. Olivia is worried about the missing reel and trying to find out if she'll be able to do reshoots if they can't find it, and Matt doesn't want to report it missing because he's worried that other studio heads would use the missing reel as an excuse to not use film for movies in it, going all digital, right? He's essentially worried that he'll be blamed for killing film, for killing an entire medium. Now, the investigation ensues, and Matt, as has often been the case in this series so far, is blinded by celebrity. You know, basically a celebrity says that they like him, and then he just instantly is just on that celebrity's side. Eventually, we do get to the truth, and it's kind of what you'd expect. I don't mean that in a bad way. This isn't a detective show where knowing where it's headed would be a buzzkill or something. So, but that's pretty much the episode. Let's go to the rank and see how it did.
A rank.
So the rank is where I rank the episode based on 5 categories: story, acting, dialogue, episode coherence, and character relatability. I rank it on a scale of 1 to 5, 1 being the worst, 5 being the best. And then I add a laugh counter, which is where I tally up the amount of times the episode made me laugh. That gets added to the score. So 1 point per laugh out loud, and that gets added to the ranking. Now the first category is story, which I gave a 5. The stories from these episodes continue to be excellent. They're engaging and fun and entertaining. If you like noir, you'll probably enjoy this episode, but if you don't like noir, you'll probably still like this episode. It's cool the way they make it a slight farce without going so far as to be disrespectful. It's really well done. The next category is acting, which I gave a 4.5. The acting continues to be really good. I don't know why I'm not allowing myself to go full 5. It just feels like everyone is almost all the way there, but not quite. I don't know if it's an aspect of relying on guest stars every episode or what, but it's really, really good, just not quite a 5. So the next category is dialogue, which I gave a 4. Now again, the dialogue is really good. It's fun, it's well written, but there's just not a lot of laughs. And I can't go higher than 4 for a show that's meant to make you laugh if you're not making me laugh very often. It doesn't mean it's bad, it just means it's not as funny as maybe it should be. It's going to be a sitcom. The next category is episode coherence, which I gave a 4.75. The coherence is great. It works really well. The only reason I didn't go full 5 is because it feels a little too obvious who did everything. And I know I said that that's not a big deal, and it's not, but I do think that it might have been a little bit better coherence-wise if it wasn't quite as obvious. Obviously, that's just a quibble, because 4.75 is still a really great score. And then the last category is character relatability, which I give a 4.75. Everyone was really relatable in this. Matt's motivation to save film, Olivia's to save her movie, Sal's to help a friend, Zach's to help the crew. It's all great. I think Olivia is the only one that feels a little too extreme to me, but that's kind of the idea. So maybe I'm wrong about that. Let me know in the comments if you think this was perfectly done. All right, so that gets us to the laugh counter, and I had 7 laughs, which is not very much. Sort of disappointing that there are only 7. It makes it sound like it's not good. And I want to say the episode is really good. It's really fun. It's just not a whole lot of busting a gut, laughing out loud type stuff. Well, when we get to the tier, you'll see how I feel about it. So the total for this episode is actually an even 30, which means that it just barely squeaks into the I'd watch it again tier. So now, as promised earlier, I said I would update the tiers for the previous episodes, and the promotion, which is the pilot episode, is in the mediocre tier. The oneer is in the I'd watch it again tier, and last week's episode, The Note, is in the Holy Grail tier. As for the series average, after 4 episodes, it's got a 31.56 average, which puts it into the I'd watch it again tier. So thanks for listening, everybody, or watching. If you'd like to see a list of our episode and series rankings, you can do that on our website at therankwithjohnandzach.com. Remember to subscribe, review, and comment, and please consider supporting us on our Patreon site at patreon.com/therankwithpodcast. You get exclusive perks. And I'll leave you with this.
Oh, no.
Why did Olivia keep making Zach do so many takes? Because she felt it was missing real.
It's getting worse.
You get it. Which, just...
Today, Junior?